I want to introduce you, Professor Dr. Milan Pegan, an extraordinary scholar who is the Vice Chancellor of Independent University Bangladesh, IIUB. Professor Pegan was appointed to the rank of Full Professor of Organization and Management at the University of Maribor, Slovenia in 2002. He had also held an appointment as Adjunct Professor at the Department of Management and Organization, Henry B. Tiptree College of Business, University of Iowa. Prior to his arrival to Bangladesh, Professor Pegan spent 4 years as a professor in Dubai, UAE, first at Al Ghurair University and then at Zayed University. Now he's going to talk. Talking with the Daily Jugantar about online academic activities of the university during COVID-19 crisis. Professor Pegan, here you are welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to know you that we and the whole world are going through an unprecedented crisis due to COVID-19 pandemic. It has been happening suddenly. In this situation, educational institutes and systems are also affected severely. What's your plan for helping continuing academic activities of your students in these circumstances?
First, let me point out that this situation caught Bangladeshi institutions of higher education quite unprepared. And one of the reasons is that previously private universities in Bangladesh were not even allowed to have distance education or online education. That's why we never got engaged in that, and we did not have the right infrastructure in place, we did not have the preparation and so on. Due to this situation, we had to turn around very, very fast. The UGC encouraged us to do the online education. But at IUB, we decided that we want to go gradually. We wanted to apply an approach that would not scare off our students, that will enable our faculty and the students to get the right experience before we jump into it. So unlike some other universities who immediately went to online education and they considered online education sending the materials through email to the students or cases like that, we decided to go for a full-fledged approach, but we didn't do it in the in the spring 2020 semester. We finished that semester with the UGC's permission based on the coursework and assessments done so far. So the students were able to finish that semester without having to go through the hassles of getting used to the online education system. Now that gave us a window of roughly 1.5 months before the start of next semester, and we're using that time to prepare the faculty and the students for the online education. At the same time, we developed our own IUB platform. We're incorporating Microsoft, we're incorporating Google Meet, we're incorporating Google Classroom, and integrating this with our own systems of student records and registration. So we're having a comprehensive learning approach system, and we ran mock trial classes with our students and faculty for a week. That gave an opportunity to the faculty to get used to this mode of delivery. It gave the opportunity to students to experience it. And I'm happy to tell you that the experience was extremely positive. After this initial fear, how this is going to be done, both sides were quite happy with it. And it also gave the university an opportunity to gauge what kind of problems we can expect for the next semester, and we can adjust ahead of time.
But students are fully mentally prepared for this situation?
Well, it is very hard to say in this situation that anybody is fully mentally prepared. But as I said...
But how you want to engage them?
That's what I'm trying to say. that initially this online education was kind of an unknown, and students were scared and quite reluctant to do it. If you follow the responses of students on social media, there was a strong push against the online education. But as our experience is showing, if done properly, it can be very, very motivating for the students. And our teachers reported back through their heads and deans that their experience and the students' experience is extremely positive. So yes, it can be done. Of course, there's a limitation here. There are lab classes, there are practical classes which cannot fully be done online. There can be some virtual approaches, there can be some recorded experiments and so on, but fully this cannot be done. So as I always point out, in the developed world, maybe a few decades ago, there was this huge hype about the online education, and then they realized the shortcomings, so they settled for what is called the blended model, meaning that large part of education is done online, but there's also face-to-face component. And this is very important to understand. Regardless of what is coming, the fourth industrial revolution and whatever we're talking about, most of our students that we are preparing for the job markets now will operate in a face-to-face environment. Everything will not go online. So we cannot train students online for 4 years and then send them to physical settings and expect them to function properly. So that's why we'll have to find a blend of both worlds. But for this coming semester, everything will be done online because we can see the situation in Bangladesh is getting worse day by day.
But still, the now pandemic is on the rise. So in this situation, what student could do press ahead with their studies in their home, and how they overcome their whole situation from their home and other.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. See, there are challenges. Let's face it. There are challenges, and there's only so much that the university can do for the students. And there's the role for the government, non-government organizations, and even businesses to pitch in and help. For example, we can prepare our delivery, we can do online classes, we can have discussions, we can have group work, everything can be done and organized. But if our student is some remote village somewhere in, I don't know, Kagrachori, and if they don't have electricity for several hours at a time, if they don't have net connectivity and so on, how can they benefit from that? So definitely the government and non-government organizations will have to fulfill their role in enabling the infrastructure and enabling students to be able to get online and benefit from the online education. And you know, when you see that the government is increasing now the price of mobile communication, that kind of undermines the efforts to enable students to get the benefits. Our experience showed that a student who is attending an online class through their smartphone, it costs them roughly 50 taka for one session. So that will have to be dealt with.
Thank you. What will be the essential required to succeed with this new normal methodology?
Well, it requires a combined effort of everybody. The mode of teaching online is completely different from face-to-face. There are some common elements, but there are many, many other things. So the faculty will have to adapt their mindset, and that is a challenge, especially for older faculties who are always using, you know, whiteboard and a marker and PowerPoint presentation. So that will be required, that we upgrade our pedagogy, that we train and help our faculty to move to that level. At the same time, the challenge is for the students. But you know, nowadays, in today's world, we are moving away from teaching and we're moving toward learning. We're moving away from traditional education. We're moving toward students being self-learners, and lifelong learners. So this might be a good opportunity for students to learn new skill sets that they never had to learn before in order to cope with the situation. So there's something good in every bad.
Thank you. What steps IUB has taken to support its students?
Okay, what I was talking so far just relates to offering the online education, but the most important point here is, can the students afford it? We all know that this situation, not just in Bangladesh, all over the world, but especially here, that a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people cannot do their business. So the income drastically came down. And private universities are not cheap. Students have to pay for it, right? So we need to make sure that students will be able to continue their education, and only then they can benefit from online education. So we are doing a lot of things to help our students. Number one, we increased our financial aid tremendously compared to previous semesters. We even contributed from our own pockets. We created a student welfare fund where faculty, staff, alumni, and trustees are contributing from their own pocket. So the students who are in a dire financial situation will be able to continue their studies. On top of that, we relaxed a lot of rules, not in terms of quality. Here, there are no compromises, but we relaxed administrative requirements. For example, in the past, in order to avail any financial aid, a student had to register for 12 credit hours. Now, in this new situation, a lot of students cannot afford to pay for 12 credit hours. So we lowered it down to 6. So with 6 credit hours, being registered for 6 credit hours, you now qualify for financial aid. Previously, in order to be considered a regular student of the university, you had to be enrolled for 9 credit hours. We lowered that to 6, and in special cases, even 1 course, meaning 3 credit hours, are allowed. So we're doing whatever we can to enable the students to continue. Previously, we reassessed financial situation in every semester. Now we said that whoever got financial aid in previous semester automatically keeps it into the coming semester. So we're doing everything in our powers to make sure that no student is left out because they cannot afford the education.
What's in this situation? What's your recommendation for the parents? What's recommendation the students' parents you want to give?
Well, the important thing is that they have to be there for their children and support them, because this is not an easy situation for anybody. And it is very disturbing when you read the reports of suicide due to failing exams and so on. That didn't happen on university level, but still. So the parents should be there for their children and encouraging them to get involved in education, not to drop out, participate in online courses, and that is the main thing that the parents can do: support and encourage their sons and daughters.
What can a student do that lead them full preparation for beyond the pandemic?
Well, see, even before the pandemic started, there was a lot of discussion of what is coming. And, this is a buzzword, the 4th industrial revolution and so on. And it is a fact, it is unavoidable fact. The coronavirus might slow it, but it will happen. And in that situation, the key here is employability. Students need to work on being employable. And you're employable when you possess skill sets, insight, knowledge, and experience that is necessary and others don't possess. So students should make a very, very good use of this situation and the time they have at hand to increase their experience, to increase their skills. There are many, many online courses available outside the university. And IUB made the deal with Coursera, one of the famous provider of these online courses, that every IUB student can register for those courses for free. So the more you invest in yourself, the more you invest in your skills, in your experience, and so on, the more employable you are, and the easier you will navigate whatever is coming after this pandemic and in the fourth industrial revolution.
Uh, Thank you. So, because of pandemic, the job market is slowing down. So, what can do students in this time for recover their whole lessons?
Yeah, see, I was told once, I don't know if it's true or not, but I was told that the Chinese word for crisis has two parts. One part means problem, the second part means opportunity. And that is exactly what it is. Every crisis has an opportunity hidden within itself. Even if certain kind of jobs are disappearing, be it for the pandemic or be it for the fourth industrial revolution, there are new jobs being created. The traditional, 8 to 5 jobs at traditional organizations are slowly disappearing. So entrepreneurship is on the rise. Self-employment is on the rise. The so-called gig economy is coming, where instead of having full-time employment, people do short stints, they start their own companies and work as freelancers and so on. And every crisis creates opportunity and demand for certain kind of services, certain kind of product, and so on. So students will have to be adaptive and innovative and look for these opportunities within the crisis.
Thank you, Professor Pagan. It's so important for the student that there is a concern that their studies could fall behind because of this crisis. What will be instrumental for them to successfully deal with this problem and go and press ahead with that?
Yeah, see, this is our job. We have to make sure that we don't have session jams, that we don't miss semesters and so on. And just today we had a meeting where we decided upon the academic calendar, and we will be able to make up for everything that we lost. So we'll make the full semester in the summer, we'll make the full semester in autumn, and we will start the next spring semester exactly on time. So no time will be lost, no student will be delayed in their graduation due to this situation, as long as, of course, they are willing to continue, willing to adapt, and go with the flow.
There are very real question that the policymaker, what policymakers can do to help students and their parents to cope with this crisis?
Well, that should be a question for policymakers. But one thing is, I said before.
What's your advice for them?
Right. One thing I already mentioned. I think now the focus of government should be that they create the infrastructure that will enable this kind of online education. And I keep saying over the last few days that I fully agree with the report that was published by the UGC, where they said that currently Bangladesh is not really ready for the online education. And it is not the problem of the universities themselves not being ready, because we are making huge steps to catch up there. It is mainly the infrastructure. I mean, as I said before, and I'm repeating myself, but imagine you're sitting in a tin shed somewhere in a remote village, and the electricity is out for a day or 2 days or 3 days, whatever. How can you attend online education? So that is one thing. Another area where I would strongly recommend that the government considers is that when it comes to private universities, they should stop using the same measuring stick for every university. There are over 100 private universities in Bangladesh, and we all know that the quality varies tremendously. In my assessment, there's maybe 10 to 15 quality private universities, and for the others, I would not be that confident of claiming that they are so of high quality or of quality at all. But when it comes to rules and regulations, the government is applying the same rule to everybody. For example, when you apply for a new program, they approve it and give you 50 for the student. And it doesn't matter if this is the university, and I'll just, exaggerate a little bit here, but if it's a university operating from a rented flat in Dunmondy, or it is a full-fledged university with own campus like NSU, IUB, AIUB, East West, and so on, we all get the same provision. I think they would have to start acknowledging the fact that we are very, very different and the rules should apply differently. And that will enable us then to do our jobs better, and that will help our students, it will help their parents, and it will help the country on the long run.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Phegan. Having a nice conversation with you. Very nice. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and it was my pleasure.
Ajit.